Hello, so how are you today, guys? Well, I would like actually to go back on a topic that I was actually dealing with a few weeks ago, and it was the theories of Marshall Mcluhan about communication and media. And I found another very interesting video. It's actually, say, a montage, an editing of various say quotes that it was saying, "Hi Kimmy, hello, good, hope you're good as well. I'm very good actually. How are you? You're good," you're saying. Yes. So I'm really glad that you're doing well as well. I want to show you guys this video because it's actually quite interesting in the way it was edited. So I'm gonna turn my camera and show you this one, okay? All right, so we might be ready, I would say.
Instead of going out and buying a package book, of which there have been 5,000 copies printed, you will go to the telephone, describe your interests, your needs, your problems, and say, I'm working now on the history of Egyptian arithmetic, I know a bit of Sanskrit, I'm qualified in German, and I am a good mathematician. They said, it'll be right over. And they at once Xerox, with the help of computers from the libraries of the world, all the latest material just for you personally, not as something to be put out on the bookshelf. They send you the package as a direct personal service. This is where we're heading under electronic information conditions. Products increasingly are becoming services.
Okay, so well, nothing can be more true than this because if we think about the e-commerce on the internet nowadays, like many of the services are actually very personal, and so what he was saying at the time was really something that was absolutely forward and beyond any imagination. So this was actually the first thing that really caught my attention from this video, because we are now living in that kind of age, and it really seems amazing that someone like Mcluhan was actually foretelling these things back in the 60s. So I'm gonna show you the rest of the video. So I might do like this because there are many quotes in it, so I might stop here and there just to say something, okay? Okay, so we move forward with this one. They were putting a few say documentary image or TV images here and there.
Global Village is not created by the motor car or even by the airplane. It's created by instant electronic.
Thanks for the art, guys. Thank you.
The Global Village is at once as wide as the planet and as small as a little town where everybody is maliciously engaged and poking his nose at everybody else's business. The Global Village is a world in which you don't necessarily have harmony. You have extreme concern with everybody else's business and much involvement in everybody else's life. It's a sort of Ann Landers column writ large.
Again, this one was absolutely another interesting point, and we are again living in that age today, especially with social media. I was talking to a few people some time ago, and it seems that many people are not even talking to their friends anymore by phone, but they're actually watching what's happening in their friends' life through social media, especially through Facebook. So they're say kind of updated with what's happening in their friends' lives, so they don't even need to call them anymore to say how are you. And there is a good side of this, which is actually we're currently in communication with the people that we know, and that's like some kind of say constant exchange of informations with our friends, with our family, or with our followers in general. But the bad side of it is that are we might ask to ourselves, are we lose something in terms of real communication? Like, I mean, why don't we pick up the phone anymore, and we're just texting with our friends, or posting messages here and there? So it is okay, say, if maybe some people might live far away, so they might not call each other every day. But I think we're actually missing something in terms of the way we're communicating by word, by voice, with all this communication by text. And especially I see this a lot in the new generations, which are really going down this way. So it will be interesting to see if maybe services like this, like Periscope, live streaming in general, or like video calls or video chat services, might help us actually to go back to say some kind of communication that is more based on our voices, and our say thoughts told by speaking, basically. So that's just something to have a little think about. And then the fact that everyone, of course, is poking their nose on somebody else's business again. People are doing that a lot on Facebook, for sure. So we move forward with the rest of the video. Okay, now.
Another strange effect of this electric environment is the total absence of secrecy. I still have a dream.
Well, total absence of secrecy, we all know what is that one, no more privacy.
The new is always made up of the old, or rather what people see in the new is always the old thing, the rearview mirror. The future of the future is the present, and this is something that people are terrified of.
She speaks by telephone to head office, where her variations are taken down directly onto cards.
I try not to have any private meanings, Frank, but I think of technologies as extensions of our own bodies, of our own faculties, whether clothing, housing, and more familiar kinds of technologies like wheels, stirrups, such extensions of various parts of the body. The need to amplify the human powers in order to cope with various environments.
And again, that's but from quite a long time. It all started possibly with the video games environment, where actually say already maybe in the 90s, late 90s or so, like you could wear like devices that would allow you actually to feel like in a 3D dimension and so on. So this kind of extensions to our body. I would say it all started with really the video game industry, but then it kind of got more practical, if you want to say that, and got into our daily life. Lost connection. I'm happy to see you back on here, Kimmy. Welcome back. So I would say that the fact that say like the mechanical things, or the electric devices became part of the human body, that's quite true. And there have been many movies, especially say around the 90s and the first years of 2000, that were actually dealing with issues like those. But say that, to go into a more practical side of it, even like, the smartphone has really become an extension to our bodies. Like, I just speak about myself. Like, I couldn't think about myself without my phone, like, because I feel like, I'm missing a part of my body when I don't have it with me, or, if I forget it at home or something like this. So, and the fact that, we are becoming so mechanical somehow, and, in so much need of technology in our lives, it's really, making us addicted to it in a certain way. But on the other side, hello again. On the other side, we cannot really live without it. So, there is, say, something that, we are losing in terms of maybe freedom, or, stuff like this, and, something that we're gaining in terms of communication, because we're constantly connected with the world. So, the two things have, good sides and bad sides, but, we just have to live with it, because that's our world, that's our age, and, that's what we're actually dealing with. So there is another part of the video, so I'm gonna share it with you guys. And just yes.
I have, by the way, a peculiar reading habit that I developed in recent years. I read only the right-hand page of serious books. If it's a frivolous, relaxing book, I read every word. But serious books, I read on the right-hand side only, because I've discovered enormous redundancy in any well-written book. And I find that by reading only the right-hand page, this keeps me very wide awake, filling in the other page out of my own noodle.
Interesting.
De hoofdtelefoon met ingebouwde stereo FM radio.
They made this with a bit like, changing channel or zapping here and there.
Because I use the right hemisphere when they're trying to use the left hemisphere.
I'll try and get back on the left.
You see that when people ordinarily people are trained to try to follow you and to connect everything you say with what they last heard, they're not prepared to use their wits. They're only prepared to use the idea they picked up the first time and try to connect it to another idea.
I think that's awesome. Okay. Whoop. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting, like, to reflect on a few of those quotes by Marshall McLuhan, and especially because all these things are really happening, in our world. And again, it's fascinating how a person like him, was actually saying these things quite a long time ago. So, between the 60s and the 70s, or, around that time. But this is just really, I would say, like, we're living in a time where all the talks about communication and media are really, just a kind of, being in a sort of, big elaborator, like, because if we think about, the people that started these topics, so like, people like Mcluhan or others, say in the 60s or 70s, they were really, say, at the dawn of the communication studies. Now we have, all the work that has been done by these amazing people, behind us, and all the reflections that they were doing about media. And, this is actually a great source for all of us. So actually, to go and understand more about the media that we have today, or where we're going, or like where actually the media industry will go in the future. So of course, things, say from a technology point of view, are running very, very fast, and sometimes we don't have the opportunity, like to sit down and think about this phenomenon, or think about how this can impact our lives now and in the future. But as this is something that I'm really, really passionate about. I think I will go back to discuss more about these topics, because all these things are coming together, and again are coming together very fast. And I think that there is actually enough space for many people to talk about these topics, and to actually kind of communicate about the effects or the communication system in general. So, well, yeah, there you go, guys. That was a bit what I wanted to share with you for today. And again, when you are elaborating thoughts about something, things might appear kind of confused sometimes, but then they kind of clear up at a certain stage. That's really the way it happens. So when I think about something, I like to share it with you, and maybe I keep thinking about it, and then